Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to record my answers, my comments on the recent video on C Squared podcast. Because again, Danya unfortunately continued, very personal attacks, as he did from the very beginning, actually, of this whole story. I mean, while I was actually asking, very legit questions, of course, yeah, I have some suspicions. That is normal. Danya himself agrees that he also has sometimes. And I wanted to argument it. You probably know my videos, which I've recorded on my channel, and was asking some serious questions. But anyway, of course, I never was personal, and I'm still not going to be. If I tell that Danya manipulates or lies, I'm every single time I'm giving exact proof why and so on. So, then just a couple of hours, I think, before, or maybe an hour or two after I published my main video, where I explain, and it's very convincing. Many people tell that it's very convincing. I explained that the things which are really concerning. You can watch it, but then I saw this podcast, which was published, probably recorded earlier, and frankly, yes, it is really incredible what is happening. I can remind you, by the way, that though I never complained about it, but for already maybe a year, or at least half a year, I'm actually more. I'm definitely a subject of a huge campaign, bullying campaign by chess.com people, by YouTubers, and so on. It seems to be very organized. It's extremely harsh and disrespectful, and also it's not true. Simply, many things they say. I'm receiving on practically daily basis a lot of insults, very dirty comments, and so on, which I try to clean as much as possible, because you can definitely have another opinion than me, but you cannot get personal and start to insult, especially using vulgar language. So but I never fall into this level of being personal and start insulting, or but here, okay, Danya, unfortunately, instead of just answering questions in good faith, and he pretends I'm actually not doing in good faith, but I'm going to prove you that many things he said on this podcast is not true, simply, and actually quite embarrassing. A lot of personal attacks, unjustified, which are not according to the truth. So, and it's kind of situation now. It's a Kafka style situation, when actually, Danya is being promoted by all chess.com friendly YouTube channels and so on. I'm not invited anywhere for quite some time already. I would gladly come to C Squared podcast and explain my position, but I know that I will not be invited, because it's not because Fabiano wouldn't do it. Maybe he would, but I don't think they will get a permission from the boss. And okay, that's my position. Let's see if it find out. If you find out that it's not the case, but I can assure you it's going to be the case. I have no doubt. I'm not going. They are not going to listen to my part of the story, which is already in itself quite strange. But anyways, I wanted to go through, at least in this first part of this video, and I just will point out very precisely when Danya is not telling the truth and unfortunately manipulating. Again, it's not a personal attack against Danya, because if somebody is manipulating or simply lying, if I tell that it is a lie, it doesn't mean that I'm attacking personally, yeah, unless I'm not right. But I will prove you now with example. In contrary to Danya, I'm going to prove every single word, and I always do what I say. So let's listen to it will be the first video. I will probably continue, I don't know, because it's really, situation is getting totally mad, because I'm the one who is being attacked, who is actually now for something I didn't say, I didn't do, using a lot of false statements of Danya, and okay, that is a bit too much. Yeah, that's objective. Even though I'm not going to fall into this level, and for me, truth is very important. And well, I'm not going to manipulate or to lie just in order to prove my position. So I will prove you everything what I say. So here with archives videos, I mean that you will see yourself. But all in all, yeah, let's go.
To be talking about a very specific topic that has been affecting and in fact pretty much capturing the chess world by storm for the last couple of weeks, and that is of course the cheating allegations brought by Vladimir Kramnik, or as he says, just I think suspicions or questions.
Absolutely
it's
correct,
never
yeah.
specifically cheating.
Yeah, that is what I always told in my first videos when I started it, that of course I'm not accusing. I mean, yeah, I have reasonable doubts, reasonable suspects, and I'm just asking questions. So this is true, and then there is a lot of manipulation going that it's an accusation. It is not. I mean, there is a very clear difference between accusing or suspecting, like, yeah, it's very obvious. Yes. So it's, yeah, I mean, in general, I recorded already my thoughts about this situation, and I feel it's very much this typical so-called gaslighting strategy, which my opponents are using because they actually misrepresent the reality. I mean, the reality is that well, it's one that I'm asking legit questions and I express reasonable doubts, but instead, and in many other interviews as well, well, they start to actually change the reality to pretend that I'm doing something else, which is not true. But okay, let's go.
So that will be the focus of our episode today. Danya, welcome back to the show. To begin, I would briefly ask you to more or less tell us, when did you first become aware about these allegations from Kramnik, or questions?
Yeah, I mean, thank you first of all, Christian, Fabi. It's always an honor to come on your show. I had such a blast the first time.
Would have been also an honor for me, but I know that I already requested, I already asked. But yeah, I never received an answer, and of course, I guess I'm not going to be invited again. Which is, I mean, which is in this particular case, whatever position you stand on as a journalist, I believe you have to at least try to be objective and to listen to another part of the story. But yeah, okay, I don't know. That's my understanding of journalism.
And obviously, the topic will definitely shift today, but I'll try to offer my completely unfiltered thoughts. At this point, I couldn't censor myself if you asked me to, and I know that's a weird statement coming from Daniel Naroditsky, the master of political correctness and self-filtering, but not today.
Well, from the beginning, it was not the case, which is, frankly, to me, it raises a question: what is the real Daniel Naroditsky now, or a few days ago, or the one which we usually see during Twitch? But okay, this is just my remark.
Not today. When did I first become aware? I think there were stages to this thing, right? I mean, obviously, I understood that because of the disparity in my Blitz results and my lack of classical chess and my OTB Blitz results, I would, there was a chance that I would end up under Kramnik's crosshairs. He tweeted about me, like, insinuatingly a couple of times, I think, or maybe just once. But it was together with a bunch of players like Benjamin Buck, and like Esipenko.
No, this is not true to start with. So we start with this kind of facts in brackets, which Danya says, which are not true. No, I was not telling anything neither about Bok, not about Esipenko. No, it's not true.
And just like complete randos. So I didn't think anything of it. Then he escalated it with a tweet about my Title Tuesday performance and the fact that, my cap score or whatever.
No, again, it
was 90 plus in 10 games.
It's not true. Also, I mean, this particular tweet was about actually, I mean, at least this one which they show was about Danya gaining 200 points on chess.com in a very short period of time. Then also there was a tweet when Danya was showing some amazing level of chess, beating very strong players, but okay, yeah, but this particular one which they show was about something else.
Games, and nobody had done it since Magnus. So that's when I thought, okay, I kind of see where this is going. But it wasn't until he put out that first video about me, the farming, right, the new series, that I understood that I was sort of next in line.
Well, it's not really also correct, because then I said that okay, I would like to play with Danya. OTB, or I mean, I invite him to play. I'm ready to put my own $50,000, my own. Let's say Danya or crowdfunding or his sponsor would put 50, and the winner takes all. Of course, there is nothing wrong in not agreeing to it. Danya never responded to it, never. I mean, that was my way to say that okay, I'm responsible for my words. I'm ready to risk my own money. Okay, but there is not a problem that Danya didn't want. It's of course his choice.
After Hikaru, but still, I thought, okay, he was going to put out 3 or 4, crazy delusional videos.
Yeah, so you see, now it starts. Yeah, I actually never was using these words, and I will never use to. I mean, I can say that Danya is lying or manipulating. Yeah, and it's very obvious. I will prove you now, but this is. From the very beginning, and I will prove you today, Danya was starting to use this kind of very disrespectful and very insulting words against me. And even though he is trying to pretend he didn't, actually he did. And even here, this crazy, and so on and so on. This is what Danya is doing from the very beginning. So yeah, and then. Okay, then he's actually accusing me of attacking him, of being, being rude or so on. Well, actually, it's simply not true. You can hear it now, and I will show you his very first reaction to my videos, which was extremely arrogant and very insulting.
And then he would move on to the next target, and eventually, the chess world would wake the heck up, and just, the negative feedback in his direction would convince even him that it was time to lay down his arms and change his behavior.
Danya, it depends what do you mean by chess world. If you mean some fans of Hikaru or you, it's, I don't know, it's another story. We cannot base our actions or our thoughts on, let's say, random people, with all respect, on internet. But considering the world of chess, I can tell you that, I have some support, and it's very unclear, let's say, who has, if there is a negative feedback or positive, I mean, it's very, very unclear yet. So, but okay.
Unfortunately, I feel like almost the opposite has happened, and it became apparent to me at some point that
Yeah, now listen, I mean, this is just incredible.
This is no longer a case of sort of me being next in line, but this is a sustained, evil, and absolutely unhinged attempt to destroy my life. And
I mean, this is just incredible. This is completely delusional what Danya is saying. I guess, I suppose it is on purpose to show me as evil, but of course I have nothing personal against Danya. I never had. I'm just trying to, because chess.com is doing very little about it. If anything, I'm just trying to do my work and fighting against cheating in chess. That's why, I'm asking questions. I'm always ready to answer questions concerning my performances and results. But to use this language, I mean, evil, that I'm trying to destroy his life, of course it is absolutely not true. I mean, absolutely. It's his maybe opinion. I can immediately tell that it's completely wrong and on the base of delusion, of being delusional, but it's, if it's opinion, Danya, don't present it as a fact. It's for sure not true. Absolutely sure.
I really don't, I'm tired of mincing words at this point. He is trying to ruin.
You never did, Danya, never. I will prove it. From the very beginning, you were not mincing words.
In my life, he's trying to inflict emotional harm, physical harm on me.
What? I'm trying to include physical, emotional, physical. What is all this, Danya? What is this? This is such a manipulation. What are you, talking about? I mean, this is just incredible.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just asking questions. I'm raising concern, and I'm ready for positive, true answers. I mean, true dialogue. But I'm not doing what you are claiming. I mean, what you're blaming me for that, and that is very obvious. And I stated it always in my videos. I mean,
and this is one of the most wicked people that I've ever dealt with.
I mean, this is a very personal. You see, this is a personal, very direct, personal insult. Even though I never did anything of this sort towards Danya, and I will never do actually, because it's a matter of culture and of your simply, of the level of the debate or argumentation which you try to hold. But this is frankly, I mean, this is just unacceptable. This is incredible. And what is even surprising to me is that both people, I mean, even though they didn't check a lot of my videos, but actually they don't even contest it, that of course it is nonsense. It's just nonsense.
And one of the most wicked acts that I've dealt with probably in my life.
Yeah, I'm the most evil person on the planet, Danya. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you just stop emotionally listening to this and just try to reflect about the words, this is incredible what Danya is saying. I mean, he might not like me, it's okay, but to tell this, I mean, this really, like, I have no words.
So the full extent of it has only been apparent to me for a couple of days, Christian.
Now, how did you initially...
No, it's also, I mean, for a couple of days, actually, it's also not really true, because on the very first video about a week ago, he already was telling very similar things. I will show you this, and okay.
Initially react, and you touched a little bit upon this, but how did you initially react to this accusation in terms of...
Please, accusation. So now you see the language is changing. Accusation, no, it was not accusation. Please be precise and be correct and according to the truth. I mean, my friend.
Also, psychology. I want to know your mental state at that point, because obviously when you're so embedded into the chess world, pretty much your whole career, your professional life surrounding the chess world. Now, when you get accused, even if those accusations don't necessarily have a lot of substance.
Yeah, my dear friend, I also would like to ask you, are you interested in my mental state, or, my approach, that I have certain name, and Chess.com, and especially Hikaru Nakamura, other people, Gotham, they're mocking me, they're insulting me for 1 year already. And if you're really interested to know what is my opinion about how do I feel about it, I'm ready to answer you if you dare to invite me on your podcast.
To them, you still get stained by it, right? So obviously that takes a toll on your mental health as well. What was your first reaction, and can you tell us a bit about your mental state at that point? Like, were you in defensive mode? Now, obviously, I feel like you're quite offensive. You want to...
Yeah, it was from the very beginning. I'm going to prove it, contrary to what Danya is saying here.
To get your point across, but the first initial, let's say level.
Yeah, I mean, I think my reaction has changed, and I think it's
no, I will prove that it was the same from the beginning.
Super important to introduce kind of levels here and nuance. I think, in general, nobody should react personally at the expression of, like, legitimate suspicions or even questions in the non-ironic way. Like, I'm just asking questions. Like, actual questions should be welcomed, I think, by players who have, like, anomalous statistics, and I do. I mean, I'm the first to say that, like, there aren't a lot of people who can hit, like 3,200 and they're 26-20 FIDE and retired from classical. Okay, so at first I wasn't happy with the kind of nasty, insinuating tone, I went on Levitov Chess, the Russian channel, 7 months ago, and this was after Kramnik had put out his first tweet about me.
Well, actually, it was not, as far as I remember, it was not about Danya. It was about group of players who are overperforming, but it was nothing concretely about Danya, as far as I remember.
And I talked a little bit about that, and so I was more than happy to sort of dispel any suspicions that had occurred. And I think it's really incumbent upon the quote unquote onliners to act in good faith and to show that if they truly have nothing to hide, then what does it cost me to do a stream where I reveal my setup, or what does it cost me to put a second or third or 18th camera now behind me just to show that it's not a bot making the moves with my hand on the mouse? What does it cost me to publish my chess-based game history on a particular day? Nothing.
Yeah, correct. But Danya, that's exactly what you say. I did this, reasonable concern. And one thing is words. But Danya, what does it cost you? Yeah, nothing. But you didn't do none of it. And also you were avoiding any direct conversation with me. We come back to it later.
Right, I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to do those things.
But why you didn't do it since that time? You never did none of it.
Provided that the other party is expressing legitimate suspicions in a polite way and making it very clear that this is not a personal attack.
What is this, Danya? What are you talking? I made it very clear. And I did it in a quite polite way, in my opinion. Straight, because I have to explain why am I asking. I have to give my reasons. I don't do it just because I suspect out of the blue. No, there are some reasons, and I was publishing it. But okay, I did it exactly in the way which you mentioned, and I always clearly stated that it's not an accusation, but those are legitimate questions. In my first videos,
they want to be able to play me in peace, and I totally get.
And I always stated there is nothing personal. This is, I don't know what is all this, because it's very difficult to dispute when a person, I'm sorry to tell it straight, but you see that he's just faking the reality. It's simply not true what you are saying, or at least what you say on words you don't deliver, or you didn't deliver in reality.
Get that? So I was trying to act that way at the start, but the thing is, the level shifted from, okay, legitimate suspicions, legitimate questions, let's say. I express suspicions about players. I hope that they don't react in the same way and oh, Naroditsky's evil. How dare he?
Yeah, I hope they don't say that Naroditsky is evil and he's trying to ruin my life. Every time Danya is doing it, and he is doing it sometimes. What is this?
Claim that this guy played all computer moves in our Title Tuesday game.
I think there is, sorry to interrupt
go ahead,
for a
Fabi,
second.
please.
I think there is an important distinction when it comes to, if someone is trying to prove their innocence, and even if they have no reason to need to try to prove their innocence, but there's a distinction between doing that behind closed doors. So let's say I think someone is perhaps suspicious, even if that's completely incorrect, and I bring it up to the player and to the organizer of whatever tournament. But it does feel like this is not really an issue for Twitter. That can all be handled behind closed doors. So you provide your evidence that you're clean. They pose their questions, and everything is settled behind closed doors, which feels like it would be the proper approach, even if it has to be done at all, which I think in the vast majority of cases doesn't have to be done. I think you don't really need to prove your innocence. Sorry.
Well, in general, I agree with Danya. From other point of view, okay, what do you mean you don't need to prove your innocence? Well, it depends. If there is of course, Danya didn't have to answer, but if he already answers, I would expect some true answers. But anyways, what I want to say, and that is why my position is not hurt, even though I said it a few times already, but because, this very podcast is refusing to invite me or to listen to me, but I did it many times. I was sending this to Chess.com, but nobody actually wanted to give me any answer, and Danya didn't even make a slightest attempt to contact me directly. And okay, so of course I'm doing it. I'm not enjoying doing it publicly, but I'm left with no choice in this particular situation, because I just simply refuse even to have a direct conversation with me. I mean, that was the only reason, and that is the only reason with other players also why I'm doing it publicly, just because of that. Otherwise, I would have definitely prefer the way Fabiano is expressing. I mean, this way.
So, microphone just came unstuck. But you don't really need to prove your innocence unless there is like some either smoking gun or there is something so anomalous like
Correct. I fully agree. So I was publishing it just to explain that yeah, there are these very anomalous glances and many more. And in my last video, you will see that it's extremely serious, extremely serious. So yeah, that's it. I fully agree. I fully agree with Fabiano, but that was exactly the case.
a 2300, beating Magnus several times in a row, or a 2200 winning Title Tuesday, things like that. But within the realm of reason, also doesn't feel like there is much there, just from my perspective. Although I do understand, I have my fair share of paranoia, as everyone knows, and probably everyone does. But still, my main point was that I feel like it can be handled behind closed doors without making it an issue for you know, a million anonymous people on Twitter to jump in the ring as well.
Yeah, very reasonable stand, but I explained already.
Yeah, I totally agree with that take. And the perverse thing, and we can get to that. I'll wrap up my my opening statement. Is that like now I can play a 2400 in Title Tuesday and get destroyed in 30 moves, and the guy takes like 2 seconds to play a crazy move and then 30 seconds to capture my hanging rook. I will like say in the mildest possible way, I think this was a bit of an odd game. And boom, you're Kramnik, you're worse than Kramnik. Like somehow he is allowed to bring his authority to bear and try to like.
It's not about being allowed or not. It's just that I'm the one who is always ignored by Chess.com. Even, I mean, most of the time I can prove that my suspicions are very legit. And yeah, I just choose this position. Yeah, I take the responsibility. I got thousands, Danya, much more than you, and already for very long time insults publicly, and even from players like Nakamura. Yeah, I don't complain, but it's my choice. What do you mean allowed? I mean, everybody is free in this world, allowed to tell what he thinks, and yeah, and has to bear the consequences. Yeah, I know that Chess.com has a very big PR group, a lot of bots as well, I believe, and yeah, so they're attacking me every day. Okay, I don't complain.
Destroy my reputation.
No, I'm not trying to destroy your reputation, please. This is not true.
Because, as you said, Christian, this is a stain. It's much harder to wipe. You can put that shirt in the laundry a million times, but the stain, it's hard to get the stain off. And
no, it's very easy. Just prove. I mean, answer truly my questions. I mean, and yeah, I would be the first one if everything will fit. But for the moment, it doesn't at all. I would be the first one who will tell, yeah, I mean, I believe it's clean, everything is fine.
It's hard when you come into like Anisha's chat or any chat and you're there cheat ski, you're like,
Danya, I'm experiencing this already for 1 year, and we are not responsible. You know what is the place internet, and we are not responsible for many aggressive people, and I mean, for what they are. It's not my fault that somebody is writing it, but also, again, I am receiving 100 times more than you this kind of things. So it's not an argument.
Like, people are just being nasty about this, and it doesn't matter how many times I've discredited the source of these accusations or how absurd the accusation.
Yeah, again, it's a lie. Yeah, it's not accusations. They are not absurd also. And the same situation, I'm also very often given the source that certain insults or disinformation towards me is actually not true, but yeah, people continue. So Danya, here we are colleagues, so to say, yeah, but I just have it in much bigger extent.
Are on their face. We can get to bishop c8, but bishop c8 is as bad as the accusations made during the Salem witch trials in the 1690s, and I really want to talk about the witch trials because he is quoting verbatim from some of the interrogation.
I mean, this is just incredible. What is this? I mean, it's on the level of sanity, you know, of checking the sanity. I mean, Bishop C8 is not an accusation. First of all, I mean, it's which trials? What is this absurd? It is just such an absurd. Objectively, Danya, what are you talking about? I just told that according to me and a serious amount of other very strong players, this move is very strange. It will never cross my mind. If it would be only me, okay, but before telling it publicly, I asked several. I would never have told it publicly. If I would ask, they would say, no, it's normal move. Yeah, it's okay. Then it's just my way of seeing chess. Yeah, but actually, many players, I mean, a number of players, very strong players, they also have the same opinion. And it's not an accusation, just it is another fact of kind of suspicion that it's really strange. And that is just my opinion and opinion of other top players. And immediately what Danya is doing is he's saying that this is crazy, this is absolutely absurd. I mean, so everybody of us, strong players, Anish Giri, Nepomniachtchi, there are few others who they are crazy. I mean, what is this? I mean, you're not now only insulting me, but actually insulting also other strong players with this in a way. So how can you speak like this, Danya?
Interrogating techniques. So if he wants to return to Puritan Massachusetts in the 1690s.
Oh, no, sorry, please. I mean, this is just getting to some historical situation which has absolutely nothing to do with this story. I mean, come on, this is just influencing public emotionally, but I mean, it's just absurd. I'm very sorry to tell such harsh words, but it's really, I mean, we are talking about concrete things, and instead there is this kind of historical occasion which is mentioning, which has absolutely nothing to do with the situation. I mean, what is this? What is this level of argumentation, Danya? Please, let's be serious.
It was a great time to be alive. I think he should experience what daily life was back then, because clearly Vlad is a big fan of the legal process of that time.
I don't understand what does he mean. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, sorry.
I'm in total disbelief at how this has been handled. And Christian, I really think at this point, this goes far beyond any kind of good faith desire to root out cheating, which I think is a tremendous problem of potentially unanticipated proportions in both online and over-the-board chess.
Now, to follow up on that question and to your emotions and, you know, what Fabi said about bringing it in the public's eye, did you try to reach out to Vladimir privately after you heard of his accusations?
No.
So
not before, not after.
In the spirit of openness, I will say that after my Levitov appearance, Kramnik recorded a reaction, a 2-hour reaction where he just basically disagreed with everything I said and was...
Not everything, of course, but some things, and it was not even so much about disagreeing, but basically Danya was misrepresenting some facts with me, and I was just pointing it out, but yeah.
You know, I wouldn't charge him with being rude or anything.
I never was and will not be.
But it was, you know, he felt very strongly that I had misrepresented the situation of online cheating.
No, it was much more simply about me concretely, and when you were basically, you can watch if you understand Russian, where basically you were blaming me for, I mean, not blaming me, but explaining that all these extremely dirty and awful insults which Nakamura was doing in my direction were actually basically more or less justified, and okay, it's understandable because I was the one who was doing wrong. Okay, I just factually was explaining that it's not the case.
And he invited me to his show, but
Yeah, I didn't invite Danya to your show. I mean, again, Danya, but please, when you are dealing with facts, I mean, I don't know on purpose or not, but there are so many times when you're just misrepresenting the facts. I mean, the fact was not that I was invited to my show. I don't have any show. I just opened, I think, my channel recent, but I told that I would invite to my channel with pleasure, but anyway, okay, to your channel, fine also. Just I wanted a direct conversation, not a show or anything. Anywhere you want it, and Danya never responded to me even.
I was not interested. I mean, this is not my role in life. I'm a commentator. This is not my war to wage, and I was happy to get behind his efforts, provided that they were undertaken in good faith, even if we disagreed. So, I mean, I didn't go on a show.
Well, you didn't even answer. I mean, it would be maybe polite just to answer at least. But anyways, it's not your fault. It's, of course, you are free to tell, I mean, to do what you want to do. I mean, but I would say, I was saying something and I was ready to talk to you in a very good faith. You didn't want, I mean, so in short, the answer to the question is no. You never tried to contact me.
But I didn't realize that was sort of an obligation or.
No, of course not. You see how much of manipulation. Of course it was not. Why you're, manipulating people, Danya? Of course not, and I never said so. It's your free will.
Expectation. I sort of made it clear that
just to make sure
this is Kramnik's channel.
It could have been any other channel, and it's very clear. Yeah.
Kramnik's show.
Yeah,
okay.
This is Kramnik's channel, and I kind of made it clear to Levitov that okay, like I'll let you fight your battle, and you let me fight mine.
Fine.
My battle is with bullet chess addiction. His battle is with chess cheating. We all have a role to play in life. Okay. Then, once the videos started coming out and escalating really, really quickly, I did not offer a direct dialogue, but I thought he would understand that my responses on the Twitch stream were a good faith effort to answer.
Okay. Let's see now. I mean, this is a direct lie. I mean, I will prove you another. I mean, this is just a lie. Yeah. I mean, and this makes me really sad to see that the person who everybody is, talking about how badly he is treated, but actually what he is doing, so much manipulation and lies. And okay, listen, this is the first, actually, at least to my knowledge, his first response after my videos, and let's listen to what he is saying. I mean, that's at least the first one I saw on the internet. It was a couple of days earlier, before the second one, which he is trying to present, I think, further on in this interview. So let's listen.
That it's worth just doing this really quickly, just to establish the extent of slanderous lies and the.
It's a very good face. Yeah. So from the very beginning, he tells, awful things about me, my position, slanderous lies, and this is a good face.
Just the depths to which this has descended to. So I am. I know that I have nothing to prove. Literally, as I said earlier, one of the reasons that I decided to stream most of my TTs is precisely because I anticipated this kind of situation. And unfortunately, things like innocent until proven guilty, things like streaming your games, are no longer sufficient for a large swath of people.
Well, maybe for somebody. For me, okay, streaming games means nothing, obviously, but of course, you're never guilty before proven, or before somebody decides, so a court. So yeah, definitely, I never pretended that you are, guilty.
And I think it's very easy for me to do this. It costs me nothing. I have the streaming space ready. And if there's a small step that I can take to expose the malice and foolishness, and most importantly, just like the mendacity and manipulation.
Yeah, very good face, yeah.
And everything that he's saying and doing.
Everything what I'm saying and doing. This is the very first, to my knowledge, answer of Danya. So Danya, please don't lie. Pretending that you did it in good faith.
As part of this sudden character assassination, when most importantly, let me establish once again, I have never cheated. I did not cheat in the games that he is clearly, not accusing me of cheating in. Absolutely not. I will share a few things about what what I would have been prepared to do if these suspicions had been phrased in a good faith manner. I'm not prepared to do these things anymore because clearly the party on the other side is not interested in actual dialogue or is not interested in me proving anything at all, but rather in just harassment. And, maybe it's tied to like hatred for chess.com. I'm not going to speculate. But I'm not just going to like sit idly by if there's something easy I can do to disprove some of the worst allegations.
Exactly the same I would do. So you see very clearly that this was the first answer, and immediately before even starting to say anything about it, Danya is actually telling awful things, just basically insulting and immediately pretending that in fact I don't know the worst line manipulating. So please, Danya, this is a fact, and anytime I'm also not going to sit there and to see you running around all ChessCon friendly media and spreading your lies. I'm sorry, when you're lying. Of course, sometimes you tell the truth, but when you're lying, I'm going to point it out. And you see it very clearly that Danya was the first one who set this tone. Actually, it was his first response, and he set this tone. So, okay, if Danya, if you decide to speak in this tone, then I will also be not to such extent. I will never lie, or at least purposely. I might not know something, but I will purposely never lie, and I would never go down to such personal level of insulting and so on. I'm going to respond in a very similar level because you have chosen it, this tone.
For his questions, like I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. I made it very clear, like what he was lying about, and he has lied about a staggering number of things.
I refuted also very clearly that what Danya was pretending that it's lie, it was not. But okay. This is so I was not lying about it, but okay. I actually have very clear explanations, refusal of these accusations of Danya.
The vast majority of the things he said.
So vast majority of things said, no, it's not true. Simply, I can prove it at any moment, and I did already.
But I didn't try to like artificially escalate it. My rhetoric was very harsh, of course, like. As I think anyone's...
What do you mean, of course? You just told a few minutes ago that actually you are ready to answer any questions in good faith, and now, what do you mean, of course, harsh, when you are just insulting, basically insulting personally, in which I never did, and I always mentioned again that it was nothing personal. In return, you start your answer with a personal insult and lies, trying to draw me as a kind of man who is lying and manipulating. Okay, I'm sorry, Danya, but that is the reality.
Tone would be if you're like accused of perhaps the most serious crime.
It would be maybe harsh, but not trying from the beginning to insult and to actually to picture a person who is asking you questions, maybe which you don't like, but not to picture him as evil.
You can commit as a grandmaster, a potential reputation destroying crime.
It's not a crime. If this, then potential. If you are clean, then it will be. No destroying reputation. If not, okay, I'm sorry, but then it's not a reputation. It's not me who is destroying your reputation, but you yourself. But I don't know. For the moment, I don't know. I just have very legitimate concerns.
So I was very firm, but I also tried...
Very firm, yeah, of course.
...to refute the particular charges that he was making. And I thought that would be case closed.
Well, if you would if you would do it truly, if you wouldn't lie a lot there, yes, but it was not the case.
But, then everything I would say not only would be called a lie for no reason, like you would just...
No, for big reason, I prove it. I proved that it was a lie. When I was saying that something is a lie, I'm proving it.
Lies, lies, lies. it's almost like he said yesterday on the Levitov channel that you started it. He said that phrase, you started it, and I was like, this man needs psychiatric assistance.
Yeah, you see this line. I mean, well, I didn't. It's you understand very well what I'm saying. I didn't say that you started the whole case, but you started this language. I mean, this very harsh language, and I just follow. Of course, much. I mean, without any personal attacks. But okay, you choose this language, Danya. You were the one who chose it. I started with, trying to dispute in another way, but then of course, yeah, I prove you now that it was you the first one, and okay, then I decided, well, if you don't want a good face conversation, polite one, yeah, okay, then I will also probably be a bit harsher than I was intended to be.
Stat. I mean, or maybe I'm just like living in a different reality.
Exactly, Daniel. This is unfortunately the problem. It seems to me, and not only that you are living in this reality, but also you try to convince people that it is reality, but it is not, Daniel.
What does he mean when he says you started it?
What he means is, again, to be clear, he's not claiming that I released the first video on Kramnik being a farmer. Maybe he should become a farmer somewhere in Peru, together with Jaspam. But he means I started the vitriol. Like, in response to his initial set of videos, I recorded a long reaction. He then thought that I uploaded a 15-minute video to YouTube, which was actually uploaded by someone named Stoned Gamer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because I mean it was a part of this reaction. I mean, okay, there were many people were uploading. I guess Chesscom is working well. To fight against me, but well, it was one of it. Doesn't matter. They were all real.
A YouTuber with 6 subscribers. It was mistitled, and it was a very small segment from my actual stream where I went into a lot more depth. So in that,
no, actually, this one which I'm referring to, it was not the one, Danya, was not the one on your Twitch. I mean, which you later referred to. It was really the very first one. I mean, okay. Anyway, doesn't matter. I took the part of it. It was kind of enough for me when somebody starts such language. Yeah, immediately, and okay, I mean that's very clear that there is nothing of good faith, there is nothing of respect or even trying to understand what is right or what is wrong, but it is simply insulting. So okay, that was the case. Doesn't matter really. It was not manipulation. Well, it was true. Just 15 minutes. Okay, I was not. I'm not eager to listen to 2 hours of your insults, Danya. 15 was enough for me.
response, I said that he had been making slanderous lies, but because it was just an out of context clip that was.
No, it was not out of context. Come on, this is a. What are you telling, Danya? I mean, again, about reality. In what reality you live? I mean, it was not out of. It was just a part of your clip. I mean, absolutely true what you were saying there. It's awful, absolutely. I'm sorry, Danya, but this is just incredible what you are saying and doing. I mean,
15 minutes long. Like, I didn't go into depth about exactly why a lot of the things he was saying were lies, and I did that on the actual VOD of the Twitch stream.
And then I also responded to this, and I also refuted many things which you were saying there.
So he claims that I was the first to start accusing the other of mendacity and acting in bad faith.
Correct. It is factually true, simply.
And I believe that is because he's acting in bad faith.
he accused, or let's not say accused, he
asked questions about
that you were unfair. You responded by saying it's not true, and then
no, it is not the case. You saw very well what was happening. It's not by saying not true, but by insulting and a lot of manipulations and lies, and very, very, well, disrespectful. That's fine. You don't need to respect me, but there is a certain minimum level of conversation and argumentation which was not there. Yeah, I showed you now. So that was the case, and not this.
And then that was you starting it. Is
yes.
That my understanding? Okay.
No, it is a lie again. I mean, Fabiano might not know it, he doesn't have to follow all this, but yeah, Danya knows it very well, and what he is presenting, the way he presents situation is simply not true. So that is for the moment enough already. You know, I have to take a shower after all this, because it's really incredible, the level of misrepresentation, manipulation. I'm sorry to tell it, but I prove you, yeah, with many other things, that actually it is true. There will be a lot after. Actually, let's go. I think there will be one after which I wanted to show you
that your understanding is correct.
Line again.
Okay. Yeah, that's
No, it's not correct, Daniel. Don't lie, please.
like I want to say that this Vladimir, I think it was about a year ago. It's
Okay,
pretty
one second.
against cheating is
no.
is a terrible thing, and definitely with
Yeah,
some.
no, I mean, not with all respect to Fabiano, because I want to answer Danya, so I would maybe go further just to, because you can all listen to this podcast, of course, but I want to respond to Danya's
on chess.com,
words.
which I think I've said multiple times is not really a metric to go by.
Okay,
These
anyway, I
accuracies are
can
based
discuss
on
those things.
like what's the probability
Fabiano.
of a player scoring 8.5 out of
Sorry.
I mean, interesting though it may be to watch.
There was
What
one
was
incredible moment when very soon when Danya is just very openly lying, I mean, which is provable again, and this is to me, I mean, I don't know what to do next. I mean, I don't have time, no wish to always refute very direct factual lies which Danya is saying, and I'm sorry to tell it so straightly, but it's true. It's true that he is lying. I mean,
conclusion, I never found out what his
I will
opinion is
just
after
tell.
the result
I
of
will
two
just
matches.
expose
think,
one.
I would assume you're talking about the Jaspin matches.
Okay, just spam.
Nepo. It took me a
No,
while.
it wasn't.
I
No,
mean,
at some
interesting,
point, actually, okay, he's telling. I saw it that he's telling that actually I lied about this case, that during the Levitov stream, Danya himself, in fact, asked to show that he can get the moves, you know, into chess base in 20 seconds. By the way, my next video, which was published yesterday, the day before yesterday, clearly proves that it was not the case, in my opinion. I never received an answer from Danya, factual answer on this, and I think it's a complete proof that it was not the case. But now, so let's go to this, and he's pretending that I'm lying, that he didn't manage it in 20 seconds, but there is an actual proof that it's true. How can you do this, Danya? I mean, I understand you want your argumentation, you are angry, whatever. It's a kind of, very often it's an incredible rage. I mean, in fact, what happens often, that Danya pretends something, I'm exposing that it's lie, and then he starts to rage. But is it my fault? Maybe you should tell the truth, Danya. Because here there is a proof, because that, okay, he is doing it here. I mean, I will show you this moment, and it takes 24 seconds, even with the chess base already open, and it was not, as I understand. So, okay, he is making experiment on his own will, showing that he can do it, and he fails. I mean, it's not in 20 seconds time. Let's see this. It's in Russian, but okay, you will see it with your own eyes. So he's first telling, okay, let me prepare, and he's prepared, like, really from the first second. And then, let's say, start counting. And you see, I mean, it's just incredible to me to see how a person can disinform in such a obvious way that you can check. Okay, I will check. Don't tell me that I'm insulting Danya, because I'm just showing you, yeah? I mean, it's not an insult, it's just refuting the lie, the direct lie. So you see, check the time. He starts at 1:03:32 exactly. Okay.
Подожди, я еще не
He
готов.
says, wait, I'm not ready. And then at 32 he starts. At 31 he says, I'm ready. At 32 he plays e4 move.
Так, можешь засекать.
Я засекаю.
Сетап
Засекает.
понятен, да. Сетап. Не, дело даже не в этом. Ага. So
Ну,
he's
видишь, ввожу ходы. Там,
installing 8 moves.
Да, сюда, допустим,
And
я вот
the engine.
позицию после 8 ходов я анализировал.
Да,
Там
да.
ошибка, слон b5.
Ну да, ну...
And now starts to install the
Сколько
engine.
это? Вот.
And it,
Движок,
of course,
ага,
it
загружается
takes...
2 секунды.
He says it takes 2 seconds. No, in fact, it takes much
Окей,
longer.
10 секунд.
Yeah,
Загрузился.
and now it stopped. 56. I mean, it is 24 seconds. So, and Danya saying that I terribly lie, that he didn't manage it in 20 seconds. I mean, in what reality are we living in, Danya? I mean, and people, how can you just swallow all this? I mean, it's not about who is right, who is wrong. You can be on the other side, but it's about simply lying about complete fact. I showed you already, you know, few now only in the first part, and there will be many more when he just openly lies, with all respect, so to say. I mean, what is this? How, Danya? Let's get to a normal level. I mean, of dispute when at least we will tell things which are not refutable de facto, and then we can speak. But like this, it's you know, there is no way we can communicate in this fashion. Okay, thank you. Part 2 hopefully will come after.